Hi everybody, old guy here, and I think anthologies are the Chinese buffet of reading. You can choose from this or that and find writers you've never heard of before, and if you like their stories, you could be willing to give their other work a chance. It's also the midnight snack of reading. Just grab a bunch of stuff out of the fridge and enjoy. Now, I think that I own more anthologies than I do standalones, primarily because I like them, and it expands my library far beyond that which my limited space and budget would allow. Now, I haven't read all of these, of course. I'm still working on it. In fact, I am reading this one right now, which is a Neil Clarke anthology called More Human Than Human. And I found a couple stories in it that I've really liked, and so far probably A Good Home by Karen Lowachi, something like that, as being my favorite so far. But this is a themed anthology, and I tell you, I'm not all that knocked in the head with those, because after the first 3 or 4 stories, you've pretty much explored all there is to say. Like this one, which is a themed anthology for a fortress by some publishing company. And, you know, it's got some stories in it. It's got, you know, these. Now, I have read lots of anthologies, but of all the ones that I've read, these 10 are the ones I remember with the most fondness for various reasons. Number 10, Alfred Hitchcock's Ghostly Gallery. It was published in 1962 for kids. And I remember it because I read it when I was a kid. And along with Tom Sawyer and other books, really spurred my interest and love of reading. My favorite in this anthology is The Wonderful Day by Robert Arthur, which is a be careful what you wish for story. Arthur was a West Point graduate who also wrote the Alfred Hitchcock 3 Investigators series, which I also read as a kid. Number 9, the Norton Anthology of Short Fiction. Edited by Robert Bausch and released in 1978. Now, you can't talk about anthologies without getting into a Norton collection somewhere at some point. And of all of them, this one is my favorite because it contains a lot of the normal stories that I enjoy and that I usually don't spend a lot of time with. Although The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence isn't really a normal story. Number 8, The Book of Swords, Gardner Dozius. Released in 2017, my copy of it. And Dozius just needs no introduction, especially if you're into anthologies at all. I mean, he founded the year's best science fiction anthologies, and he edited for Asimov's Science Fiction magazine for the longest time. And I'll tell you, I loved this book. There was not a bad story in it. And, you know, to pick a favorite, I'll take I Am a Handsome Man, Said Apollo Crow by Kate Elliott. You know, on the coin flip, she wins. Number 7, Twilight Zone, the original series. This is edited by Martin Harry Greenberg and released in 1985. Now, Greenberg compiled almost 1,300 anthologies in his career and was also one of the co-founders of the Sci-Fi Channel. These are the stories that inspired various Twilight Zone episodes. And my favorite out of this group is To Serve Man by Damon Knight, which has one of the best last lines in fiction. Number 6, The Science Fiction Hall of Fame, Volume 1. Edited by Robert Silverberg and released in 1971. Silverberg is a Grand Master, and it's hard to say whether his work as an editor or a writer takes precedence. Both important efforts on his part. Now, this is a collection of science fiction stories that were written from 1929 through 1964. My favorite of this group being Nightfall by Isaac Asimov. Now, apparently, there were so many good science fiction stories written from 1929 to 1964 that they printed another Science Fiction Hall of Fame, Volume 2, but broke it into A and B. So 2A and 2B, or not to be, sorry. Both edited by Ben Bova. And I have a copy of 2B. I'll stop. This one was published in 1973, and my favorite from this one is The Big Front Yard by Clifford Simak, one of those. Now, from the 2A volume, it's Who Goes There? Written by John W. Campbell, and which is the story that all the Thing movies are based on. Now, the publication dates are a little confusing because my volume 2B predates A by 1 year. This was published in 1973, but it's a book club edition, so it probably got a jump. Number 4, Dangerous Visions, and again Dangerous Visions. Which I have my pretty much torn up copy right here. Edited by Harlan Ellison, and you simply cannot talk about one of these without talking about the other. But tell you the truth, I think the first one, Dangerous Visions, is better, with the story A Toy for Juliet by Robert Bloch as the best one in that volume. Dangerous was published in 1967, and all of the stories to it were original to the anthology. While again Dangerous Visions, this one, was published in 1972. Both of them are considered cutting edge and avant-garde because they were blatantly sexual and brutal. But these days, kind of old hat. Ellison, you all know who he was. He was a prolific writer and editor who had what we would call an unfortunate personality. Number 3, Dark Forces, published in 1980 and edited by Kirby McCauley. Now, McCauley was a literary agent. He was not known for his editing. He represented instead mostly some of the big heavy hitters in writing, especially in horror, like Stephen King and George R.R. Martin. In fact, this book is the one where I first read King's The Mist, which remains a favorite out of this collection and pretty much one of my favorite Stephen Kings. Number 2, A Treasury of Great Science Fiction by edited by Anthony Bowker and released in 1959. It actually came in 2 volumes, and it was more than just short stories. There were entire novels in this, such as Alfred Bester's The Star's My Destination and The Man Who Sold the Moon by Robert Heinlein. My favorite in this whole group is Poul Anderson's Brainwave, which is a story about us finally being able to use our entire brain's ability. Bowker was a writer and an editor who sometimes used the pseudonym of H. Holmes, who was a 19th century serial killer. If you wish to know more about him, read the very good book, The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. And number 1, Tomorrow's Children, edited by Isaac Asimov and printed in 1966. Now you know that an Asimov was going to show up here somewhere, and of all the ones that he did, this is my favorite, with his story, The Ugly Little Boy, as being my favorite in the entire collection. Okay, that's it. Old guy here. See you later.